case. You are entitled to compensation for your injuries, medical bills, lost wages, and personal loss. Mr. Farnsworth will go to trial if you are not offered the fair settlement that you deserve. The law offices of Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, has established itself as one of the leading personal injury law firms in the South Florida area. They give all their personal injury clients a promise. If they don't recover monetary damages in your case, you will not pay any legal case. If they take your case, they only get paid if they win. Whether you've been injured in a motor vehicle crash, slip and fall, workplace accident, or through the negligence of someone else, you need attorney Shane Farnsworth fighting on your side. Call now for a free consultation. That's 561-272-8337. You are listening to the Ask the Expert Show with host Steve-O. We will be right back with more experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Join us every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Now, get ready for more Ask the Experts.
And we're back. So for the next 30 minutes, we have more Ask the Experts. This is our fourth year here at WWNN 1470 AM and 95.3 FM. If you'd like to call in today, let me give you the number. It's 888-565-1470. We're talking about personal injury law, auto accidents. And I love that we found Shane. This is Shane Farnsworth. You're an attorney here in Boca, and you cover Palm Beach County.
Well, our office is actually in Delray, but yeah, we cover Boca, Delray, all Palm Beach County.
Boca. So, Delray and Boca are like the same thing to me. I'm so used to that. But you also handle Palm Beach, though, too.
Yeah, Broward, Palm Beach. We do cases all over the state. We just resolved a couple cases this week. They were up in the Tampa, Orlando area. So
wow.
So we have a presence throughout the state.
Did you have to go to court? Did you have to litigate?
On those particular ones, no, we didn't.
Good.
But I have had to litigate in Orlando before, yes.
Okay. And you do, because we have listeners all the way down in Dade. Do you practice in Dade at all also?
I do. Primarily, I would say, most of our clients come from the Palm Beach area and some from Broward. But, we do occasionally get cases in Dade County. We do cases in Dade County. So.
Well, if you'd like to watch the show right now, give everybody your website.
My website is ShaneMFarnsworth.com.
So, is there a difference? When you say personal injury attorney, that's not just auto accidents. You do other things besides just auto accidents.
Correct. Personal injury attorney is sort of an umbrella term. Car accidents will fall under that, slip and falls, all sorts of different things, negligent security, wrongful death, medical malpractice, products liability. There's
right.
Several things. So, a personal injury attorney, you would handle all of those things. I mean, obviously,
is nursing home still an issue?
Yes.
Nursing home abuse.
Yes, it is. That's obviously an ongoing issue, and people want to make sure that the family is getting the care that they need. We don't actually do a whole lot in that field, but my practice primarily focuses on the auto accidents, the slip and falls, those sorts of things.
Okay, and there really is, because when we say auto accidents, this also includes truck accidents, motorcycle accidents, and even, especially down here, boating accidents.
Yeah, it basically involves any sort of vehicle. It could also involve, you could be a pedestrian and be injured by a vehicle. You could be a bicyclist and be injured. So we represent, we've had pedestrians that have been hit by cars. We've had bicyclists that have been hit by cars. But yeah, motorcycles, tractor trailers,
I got an unusual one for you.
Okay.
Dog bites.
Dog bites, yep. Dog bites are another thing that does come up.
But it falls under the personal injury.
It falls under the broad category of personal injury.
And listen, you hear about dog bites, especially with kids, a lot.
You do. There's, how our communities here are in South Florida. We live kind of close together, and a lot of people have pets, and sometimes people have pets that don't interact well with either other people or other pets.
People have pit bulls. I'm shocked because when something bad happens, for some reason, it's always a pit bull that's involved.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard from people that have had them that, hey, if you get them when they're young and you train them right, they're the loveliest dogs ever. But you do see a lot of pit bulls that, when they're more severe attacks, a lot of times, it's the pit bull, Rottweiler, German Shepherd, those sort of dogs.
Well, I'll bet you down here, I got to tell you something, because I have a morning show, and we just discovered, it's a talk show. Do you know that Florida has the worst drivers in the United States? Florida was selected having the worst drivers. Now, if you do what I do, and I have to go from Coral Springs to Miami every morning, and I go down 75, I totally believe that. I totally believe. But accidents happen a lot. Not just here, but a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. I had to go to the airport to pick someone up, the Fort Lauderdale airport, going from my house in Boca. And it was about this time of night when I left, and on the way down there were 3 different accidents, and on the way back there were 2 others. So
were you on 95?
On 95, correct? Yes.
All right. So let's talk. Let's see if maybe we can help people, because especially if you've never been in an automobile accident, you don't even know what to do. You have no idea. But I'll tell you one thing: you're probably going to get inundated from attorneys, wouldn't you say?
Well, you shouldn't.
You're right, but you do.
But you may.
Yes. And you don't know who's good and who's not good and who's just throwing a card in front of your face. So that's one of the great things about this show. And he can't do it, but I can. This is an expert in personal injury. Okay? You don't have to go. Listen, if you go Google, you're going to see 1,000 names. And how are you going to decide? So we're helping you decide here by bringing Shane on. So what's the first thing someone should do when they're in an auto accident?
Well, let me just take a second to sort of address if you're being contacted by an attorney, that's called solicitation.
Ooh.
That's actually against the law. Attorneys aren't supposed to do that. So if you do get into an accident, that happens. Yep, absolutely. So, sometimes, unfortunately, attorneys will have people.
I got 4 letters in the mail, and I wasn't even hurt.
The letters are a little bit different. If they wait a certain time period, they can send you a letter.
Okay.
That's not what I'm referring to. I'm referring to you're sitting there and you get a call on your cell phone.
Oh.
And the guy says, "Hey, I'm calling on behalf of such and such attorney, and we represent accident victims, and you should hire us."
That happens.
That happens way more than you would think. And like I said, it is illegal. So if somebody calls you and they're trying to do that, you got to make a decision. If this person is unethical enough to not follow the rules, is that somebody?
Right?
Yeah. Do I want them representing me?
Right.
Are they going to be looking out for my interests? So
And
just be aware of that.
Basically, all you do, is that right?
Primarily, yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like you got 20 shingles down the side of your wall. You do criminal, you do family, you do bank. You try to concentrate in the personal injury area.
We do. We do civil litigation as well, but that also, some of it's outside the personal injury realm, but it keeps us in court. It keeps us sharp. It helps us.
What about construction accidents?
Construction accidents.
Is that different?
They could fall under personal injury, depending on what happens. I mean, a lot of times, if you're injured while you're at work, it's going to be a workers' comp claim. Right. Yeah. So we don't usually get into workers' comp.
And I know why you don't. Yeah. I understand why you don't. And maybe sometimes there's 1 or 2 attorneys in the area. They do that because most attorneys don't get into the workers' comp area. Okay, so let's get back on the accident. And we're talking about maybe you've got a neck pain. Maybe you don't have a pain at all, and it's going to show up 2 or 3 days later. So what does someone do who's in an accident?
Well, in terms of
call the police first.
Yeah, that obviously, if you're at the accident scene, you want to call the police. Make sure you get a report. You want to make sure that you have the other person's information. Just exchanging it with them is not the way to go. Get the police out there, have them investigate it, and do the report. Now, if you're injured at the scene of the accident, ask the police to call the EMS for you so they can come out and get you checked out, and if necessary, they can transport you to the hospital. But like you were saying, it's not uncommon that sometimes people, at the time of the accident, your mind's going a million miles a minute, and you may not feel injuries at the time. And, as you get home and you start to calm down, the adrenaline starts to subdue, a lot of times people start to feel pain, and it might be 1 or 2 days later. If that happens, it's super important that you get to the doctor and get it documented, because what happens is if you wait and then later on down the line you're trying to pursue a personal injury action and you waited 10 days to go to the doctor, that insurance adjuster is going to look at your medical records and they're going to say, well, hey, Steve, if you were really injured in this accident, why'd you wait 10 days to go to the doctor? And they're going to use that to try and make the offer on your case lower. So the sooner you can get to the doctor and get the injuries documented, the better. It's only going to help you later on. Another thing that's important to know, and I know we were talking a little before this, maybe in the next show we're going to talk a little more about insurance coverages, but under the PIP statute, we're a no-fault state, so regardless of who causes the accident, your medical bills get paid by your PIP. Okay. And one of the things that happens is to get your PIP coverage, you have to treat within 14 days of the accident. If you don't, you're not entitled to that coverage. So it's important to know that, because if you miss that, then your insurance company is not going to pay under the PIP statute.
Well, I tell you, I found out that insurance companies will call you 2 or 3 days later and try to settle out with you. Now, I learned a valuable lesson from my son in Dallas. They offered him, I think it was like $5,000. His wife wanted to take it. Like, hey, this is $5,000. That's found money. So they did it themselves. But they found out later that their case, because she actually had problems later on, that case was worth a lot more money. And the point I'm trying to say is, don't try to handle this yourself. This is what you do for a living. You know what everything is valued at. You know the timelines. And I see people just try, and they hear some money, and yeah, I'll take it. And that's not very good.
Well, most people wouldn't do surgery on themselves. So
exactly.
If you get into a car accident, the insurance companies, they do this for a living too. So yes. They're going to try to pay you as little as possible.
Exactly.
That's how they do business. They collect the premiums, and then, they invest that money, and the longer they hold on to their money, the more they make. So, and, they make money by collecting premiums, not paying claims. So, if they offer you something,
there's got to be a lot more.
Yeah, there's probably going to be more. They're not going to give you their best offer if you're not.
And if you try to do it yourself, I promise you will leave money on the table. I promise you.
Yeah, most of the times, if someone gets to me and they've already gotten to that point, there's nothing I can do for them, and generally there's a lot of regret on their part when we actually talk about the situation. So
because now once you sign off, that's it.
That is it. When you resolve your case in exchange for the check that they're going to send, they're going to send a release.
Probably get it to you right away, aren't they?
The release? Yeah. Oh, it comes with a check generally. Yeah. So so the release is going to say that in exchange for the money, you're agreeing that you can sue their insured for anything related to this, either now or in the future. So once you've signed off on that, you've given up your rights to pursue it. So if you settle your case and you need surgery a year later and you have that surgery, you don't get to go back and try to collect for the surgery.
So if you do not call the police, you're really kind of putting yourself at risk by not calling the police. Is that right? Instead of trying to handle it yourself.
People do funny things. I mean, I've had people where, not to me personally, but I've had people where the other person will pull off the side of the road, they'll pull over, and the person takes off. I've had people that get in an accident and they don't even stop. They just continue going. I had one of the ones that just settled up in the Orlando area. There was a tractor trailer that was switching lanes and sort of broadsided my guy's car. The impact, he was injured from it, but he was still able to drive. The truck didn't even realize he'd hit him, and he just kept going. So he was honking his horn, driving alongside, and the guy just waved it to him. So it ended up, he took a picture of the license plate in the truck. He called the police. The police said, hey, probably not best for you to be chasing somebody down the road. So they told him to back off. He had the information. But, if the person's going to stay at the scene, you need to have the police there. They're going to come investigate it, and they're going to decide in the report, they're going to give an idea of who caused it. Whereas if you don't do that later on down the line, the other person, even if they caused the accident, might tell their insurance company, hey, this is what happened, and the other person caused it, and you have to end up fighting over that.
Well, we're going to go to break right now. I'm here with Shane Farnsworth, attorney Shane Farnsworth, and we come back. We had a couple of emails that came in, and one of them is about wrongful death. So when we come back, I've got a wrongful death question for you.
Okay.
As an experienced personal injury attorney, Shane Farnsworth understands the key to success in your case. You are entitled to compensation for your injuries, medical bills, lost wages, and personal loss. Mr. Farnsworth will go to trial if you are not offered the fair settlement that you deserve. The law offices of Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, has established itself as one of the leading personal injury law firms in the South Florida area. They give all their personal injury clients a promise. If they don't recover monetary damages in your case, you will not pay any attorney's fees. Shane M. Farnsworth, VA, offers a free consultation to evaluate your legal case. If they take your case, they only get paid if they win. Whether you've been injured in a motor vehicle crash, slip and fall, workplace accident, or through the negligence of someone else, you need attorney Shane Farnsworth fighting on your side. Call now for a free consultation. That's 561-272-8337.
The diet.
So we're back. I love talking about this. And one of the things I wanted to ask Shane about today is the women who were killed at the nursing home. So is that nursing home abuse or is that wrongful death?
There could be a wrongful death case, and there's probably a negligence claim there. You're talking about during the hurricane.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean that was obviously pretty tragic.
Yes.
So yeah, no, there could be wrongful death actions coming from that, but basically the underlying claim is a negligence on the behalf of the nursing home.
Well, down here, nursing or assisted living places are very big. So we got a Twitter or tweet, I don't know what they call it, but wanting to know about wrongful death. Apparently a truck sideswiped them and caused I think it was their grandfather to go into a standing lamppost, and he was killed. So was that wrongful death?
That is. You could
Because
file.
it was the truck's fault from the way it
Right.
sounded.
Yeah, no, on behalf of the survivors, that could be a wrongful death claim. And I know we were talking during the break, wrongful death doesn't have to happen exclusively in an automobile accident. It could happen in any way.
See, I was like someone doing surgery, or that would have to do with the doctor mostly, but you're saying no.
Yeah, no, it could happen from an auto accident. We talked a little bit about negligent security. If you're, I don't know, at a store and you're in the parking lot and somebody shoots somebody and kills them.
Should someone call the police if it's a dog bite? Because you're talking about, like, you should call the police with an automobile accident, let them do a report. What should you do with dog bites? Because you're going to go to the hospital probably.
Yeah, I mean, you could call the police. They're probably going to get animal control involved.
Oh.
Generally, the police aren't going to be the ones handling that.
Okay.
But, yeah, you're going to want to make sure that the dog is properly vaccinated. And obviously, if that was to happen to you, take pictures of your wounds, 'cause that's going to be, important later on. And I always tell people, not just in dog bites, but you can get into an auto accident, get cut, or take pictures throughout, because obviously the way your injury looks is going to change over time.
Right.
A scar, might look horrible in the beginning and then fade, or it may stay horrible. So it's important that you keep track of that. So because later on down the line, when you're trying to resolve the case, adjusters or defense attorneys are going to want to look at those pictures. So if you do get cut or bit and you have an open wound or a cut, take pictures of it, and that way if it heals, and you can show throughout the course of it.
And if you have an injury, they can call you. Do you charge for a consultation?
No, on personal injury cases we don't. It's a free consultation.
I just want to let you say it. And so, and they only pay you if you win for them.
Correct. We use a contingency fee agreement. It's governed by the Florida Bar. Basically what it says, if we don't recover any money, it doesn't cost you anything. if we recover money for you, we get 33 1/3% of what we recover pre-suit. If we have to file a lawsuit, it goes up to 40%. The other thing is, as the case is progressing, we advance any costs that are related to it. For example, if we had to request medical records from a hospital, they'll charge us for that. Sometimes doctors will charge us for a final report. We pay those costs, and then from the recovery, those costs are paid back in addition to the fees.
So you take a lot of risk up front.
We can. It could be expensive, and you're putting money out, and you definitely want to hope. You want to have a pretty good idea to get the money back on the back end.
I got to tell, and I'm pretty sure you probably don't do pharmaceutical cases. Am I right?
No, I don't.
Because I found out I had a pharmaceutical case, and I had to end up getting a lawyer in a whole nother state that specialized. But I tried to do it myself at first, and what I learned is they were just laughing at me. Until you have an attorney, that's when they would start getting serious.
Yeah, obviously, insurance companies, or in your case, if you're dealing with a corporation,
yes,
they have their own counsel. They're not really that worried about you suing them. So,
but they didn't even move though. It was like no big deal to them, and they'd say, we'll get back with you in a couple of weeks. And I never felt so blown off. But as soon as I hired an attorney, everything changed.
Yeah, generally speaking, it will get things moving a lot faster than if you're trying to do it on your own.
Yeah, so it's, it's really important, especially with an automobile or slip and fall, which we haven't talked about. Call an attorney.
Yeah, and one thing I can tell you about it's part of the personal injury or the car accident portion of it. And we do this as a courtesy for our clients. When you get into the accident, your car is obviously banged up, and you're either going to have to get that fixed, or if they total it out, negotiate a fair amount for the value of your car, and you're probably going to need to rent a car in between that. So if you handle that initially on your own, it'll generally get slow walked more than if we're involved. Now, mind you, once we're involved and they know what's going on, sometimes we let them speak directly to our clients in order to set up the meetings, to have the adjuster look at their car and stuff like that, because it's easier than us having to schedule between the two people. But it definitely goes better when we're involved than when you're just trying to do it on your own.
I don't know how the laws are here, but a friend of mine in Texas drove a really nice Mercedes, and it was being fixed, and the rental car gave him like some putsy car. There's a law that says you have to get the same type of car that you would normally drive, that you shouldn't have to take 2 or 3 steps down. And I forgot the name of the law in Texas, but the lawyer actually got involved in the rental car and the value, how much they were offering to get his car. Do we have laws like that here in Florida?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Yeah,
it basically, this was in Texas, that they actually said, told the leasing company he gets the same kind of car that he's driving, and they actually had a name for that law. But the personal injury attorney was the one who got involved in that.
Well, most of the time you're going to have the other party that caused the accident. Most of the time they'll be paying the rental bill. They'll give you an amount. They generally have an arrangement with a rental car company, and that's who you'll go to. In the event you go through your own policy, if you have rental car coverage, usually it's based on you have a daily amount and a fixed amount of days you can do it. So
let's just do, because we only have a few minutes left, slip and falls. Well, I bet you get a lot of those.
You do. I mean, in Florida, especially the time of year we're in now, you could get a downpour anytime. Yeah, and people walking into a store, sometimes they're not that careful in putting the rugs down and the yellow signs, and people slip and fall. And I had a lady that was injured after last year's hurricane. She went to, or this is prior to the hurricane, she had gone to a Walmart in order to get some groceries, and they had the up front where they had the water, you fill the big jugs,
right?
And somebody had spilled the water, and it was on the floor, and she fell and was injured there. So yeah, it's it's not uncommon in Florida.
They should get pictures too, right?
She didn't have a lot of pictures, but
But
she did.
should now, if someone slips in a store, what should they do? And I'm telling they need to call you. I can tell you that. But what should they do? Is
They
there
need to
forms they gotta
report it.
Make sure they fill
Yeah,
out
you
the store?
definitely. Yeah, you don't. Some people sort of similar to the auto accident situation, but even a little bit different in that if you slip and fall, you're probably embarrassed. So
Yes.
you're not trying to hang around and have people look at you and say, "Hey, that's the klutz that just fell down." So, but you really need to stay. Have them get a manager or whoever's in charge of that portion of it. Fill out the paperwork. Let them know what's going on. Because even if you're not feeling super horrible at that moment, the next day sometimes
right.
that's when you'll start to feel it. So it's very important that you get it documented that you were there and you fell. Because otherwise, if you just get up and walk out and then the next day you say, "Hey, I
I'm hurting
fell
today.
Yeah, and
I should have said something yesterday.
yeah, and you go back
But
and they
then it's
say
too
we
late.
don't have a record of it. I mean, sometimes you have video cameras,
Right.
So you can have video sometimes. But I mean, the sooner you get things documented, the better.
Okay. So that is really because I bet you at least someone falls every day at a grocery store. I mean, I see, God, they even allow dogs in the grocery stores now, and I've seen them lift their leg up in the grocery store. But the main thing we're learning today is you got to get it documented. Don't wait around to hire an attorney like yourself. Give everybody your phone number.
Our phone number is 561-272-8337. And once again, our website is ShaneMFarnsworth.com.
And listen, it's very important that you hire someone. This is why we have this show. You don't have to Google and see 1,000 attorneys, and some of them are in other states, which I was really shocked. But they made you think they were here locally, but they really weren't. You're here locally. Your office is in Delray.
I am in Delray. Actually, I'm on Southeast 4th Avenue, so if you know where they're building the new iPic Theater, I'm actually directly across from that.
He's lucky he's got all the restaurants to himself over there on Atlantic Avenue. You're really a great guest, and this is really important. What are we going to talk about next month?
I think next month we're going to talk a little bit about insurance and insurance coverage, because when people come in to talk to me, a lot of times they'll tell me, well, I have full coverage, and that really means absolutely nothing.
Wow.
So next time we'll talk about, what you're required to have in Florida and what you really should have in Florida, and, kind of what those coverages are and how they work.
Great show. Shane Farnsworth, his name. We're going to be back with you next week with more Ask the Experts. Thanks for tuning in today, and hey, we'll see you next week.
Thanks for listening to the Ask the Expert Show, featuring interviews with local experts in the fields of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Call our office at 888-574-6999 to become one of our experts on the show. And tune in again next week for more Ask the Experts with Steve-O. The opinions expressed on the preceding sponsored program were strictly those of its host